everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Tech This Week. This one is going to be our last episode for calendar year 2024. We'll see you on the other side of 2025, bringing you stories which matter to us, to you, and how technology is shaping our world. But before we close 2024, I thought we'll take an attempt on talking about technology which had a lot of fanfare, which held a lot of promise, but never took off. I'm talking of metaverse today, right? If you think of it, it promised to reshape the way we live, the way we work, and revolutionize the way we connect, right? Yet, we are here today, barely hearing a whisper about it, right? So the question that we're trying to answer is what really happened? Why did the metaverse fail, right? So I think we need to jog back our memories to not too many years back, maybe about 21, 22. So metaverse was everywhere. It promised a world where physical and digital realities would seamlessly blend. You know, companies, talked about replacing, Zoom meetings or MST meetings with virtual offices where you could feel like we're actually in the room. E-commerce giants, dreamt of virtual showrooms where you could literally walk around and shop. The promises were bold, and it actually the promise was to redefine everything we knew about technology and our digital lives, right? But somewhere between the hype and the execution, I think things fell apart. So, in fact, if you look at numbers, story tells its own, right? Companies invested billions of dollars but didn't get any return. So, I mean, let's probably start with Meta's Reality Labs alone, which reported losses of close to $40 billion since 2020, and platforms like Horizon Worlds barely have active users. In fact, a very important cog in the wheel of metaverse was VR headsets. Headsets sales dropped significantly, proof that users weren't as excited about technology as companies expected them to be. In fact, if you think of it, of the many VR headsets that were there, Apple, which is usually considered a pioneer, and if they enter a category that kind of revolutionary changes the category. Apple Vision Pro, I don't see anybody talking about Apple Vision Pro. I don't see its numbers. I don't see them on the website, right? So the industry quietly moved on, shifting focus to more relevant technologies like generative AI, which had immediate value, right? So like I said, many reasons, but if you fundamentally ask me three major reasons why metaverse failed, according to me, right? A, the metaverse promised a virtual escape, but instead of feeling connected, actually users felt alone. You know, Technology should bring people together, but being strapped into a headset often amplified isolation. You know, Ironically, a tool meant to redefine social ended up making people feel more distant. That's first. Second, I think it's very important, especially, I mean, India is a brilliant example for that. People gravitate towards technology that's simple, intuitive, and effortless to use. Success in technology comes from low friction adoption where users can start small and scale naturally. Instead, the metaverse turned this entry point into a burden, missing the golden rule. Adoption begins with ease, not effort. And finally, I think, again, in my personal opinion, a very big reason for its failure, tech companies got so caught up in building the future, they forgot to ask a simple fundamental question. Does this excite people? Virtual worlds felt actually clunky, lifeless, and often pointless. There was no emotional connection, no real pull that made people come back. So when you're asking people to replace a reality with a virtual one, it has to feel better, to say the least, right? Not worse. So if you dissect this, the failure of metaverse boils down to one fundamental truth. It actually never solved the real problem. And I'll tell you, because when you think of metaverse, it's actually in many ways an extension of social media. So when social media as a concept entered, right, it solved something massive. It connected people. It was intuitive and easy to use. Social media grew because anyone, rich or poor could access it. It democratized content creation, and that's what it made thrive. The metaverse, on the other hand, just think of it, demanded something social media never did: money. See, anybody with a standard, say, a smartphone of as less as 3,000 to 4,000 rupees could access everything that social media had to offer. But here, you know, you needed high-ended VR headsets to expensive infrastructure. So it kind of created a paywall which most people could not afford. So this cost factor broke its democratic appeal and made it inaccessible for the very users it needed it to succeed. Therefore, at its heart, the metaverse failed because it sold excitement but delivered complexity. You know, honestly, having said that, I don't think we should write off metaverse just yet because history has shown us that the biggest innovations were many times way ahead of their times, and they did not always succeed in the first place. So if technology companies, gave up on one failure, we wouldn't have probably the internet, the smartphone, or even the generative AI as we look at it today. So whether it's technology or the stock market, it's a risk-reward game, right? So risks shouldn't stop innovation. It should catalyze better execution. So that's a big takeaway from me. The metaverse may have stumbled, but its failure is a lesson, one that can inspire companies to create better solutions which have purpose and not just promise. That's it from my end. Wishing all of you a very, very happy new year. And, and like I said, we'll see you on the other side of 2025. Bye for now.